Diwali, and Holi. These festivals are celebrated as good over evil, light over darkness, and festival of colors. One has to question what is good and what is evil, what is darkness and what is light. What does festivals of colors mean? Festivals that have national holidays are the celebrations of assassinations of indigenous people in India. These festivals are taught in schools as good and evil, light and dark, while depicting indigenous people as dark-looking giants with horns on their heads and a very dirty-looking people, while simultaneously depicting Aryan gods with European beauty standards. This, of course, enforces hatred against indigenous people who are dark and have features that do not equate with European beauty standards, thus reinforcing the caste system and casteist ideologies. In modern India, indigenous people are called Dalit, Bahujan, and Adivasi people. The representation of indigenous people has always been derogatory. These are some of the facts that I have come across ever since I started researching about Dalit women and their education in India. So history is kind of poignant in every country, right? So with all of these experiences, I came to the United States to do my master's degree in teaching in the US and got a teaching position eventually. During this time, I had come across several derogatory representations of indigenous people in the US. I could make connections with indigenous people in the US and in India. The derogatory representation of indigenous people in school curriculums, school mascots, and games that children play. These connections were quite alarming for me in the initial stages of my journey in the US as a student, as an educator, and currently as a student again. I was working as a special educator for 1 year in a suburban school in New England before starting my PhD at UMass Boston. I would like to refrain from naming the state or the school. The school wanted to hire a person of color because of the lack of diversity in the school. Thus, they hired me, and I was the only woman of color teacher in the school. One of the first features I noticed in the school was that of awards that they gave to outstanding students every month. The award was named as Feather Awards, and students who won the Outstanding Student Award would get artificial feathers, which they would place it in the back of their head, sticking it in their hair. After learning about this, I had to speak to the school principal and told him why it was offensive. And the arguments and counter arguments went on and on for weeks. Although they had a hard time letting go of the practice, the school and the school principal were open to diversity. Hence, they changed the award to something else. Besides, the school also had Friday activities for the older grades in which the students were taken to the forest and were asked to build their own tribes and houses such as teepees. I'm not sure if the students were taught to whoop or they adopted it themselves. Students would whoop and run around in the forest. This was worst, and the school needed sensitization. Thus, I had reached out to an indigenous scholar, activist, and educator called Judy Dow to do a school sensitization workshop for students, teachers, and staff at the school. That year, she had spent an entire day in the school working with school students, faculty, and staff. Ever since, Judy Dow has been invited to the schools once a year to conduct sensitization workshops. Inviting an indigenous scholar only once in a year as a gesture is not enough because the sensitization should happen in everyday activities. It should not become a patronizing act to show diversity. Rather, it should become a moral responsibility of schools and educators. This is true in the context of Indian education system. Although there are efforts in the policy level change, the teaching practices, curriculum, student-teacher interactions, for the most part, are derogatory and offensive towards indigenous people, similar to that of the US. So, thus, the struggle continues.
too. Yeah.
So I'm really interested in this example that you've shared from your personal experience of working in this institution. I'm actually interested in what the feedback was like after you made this move to try and introduce some sensitivity. What was the feedback from the student body, the faculty, from the administration, and what happened?
It kind of turned out to be positive and negative as well. So initially I was welcomed, very glorious. It was a very glorious welcome. After this incident, things started changing, and I was not involved in the decision-making process in the school committee. And also the teachers and the principal also kind of became like very rigid in terms of listening to what I have to say. But previously it was not like that. It kind of changed. So
I see. That's interesting. Yeah. And who knows what's happening now that you're not there,
yeah,
right?
But it's not about like them having me in a decision-making committee, but then like have they changed and everything.
Exactly.
So I don't think a lot changed because the Forest Friday thing that was going on in school, it was still going on. Like every Friday, students would, and I've heard it's still going on. So that has not changed. And the teacher who conducts those Forest Fridays, she's trying to write a book about her experiences. As in, it's not like a critical review, but it's like a glorification of her work. So it's continuing, but there are educators who are also opposing that stand.
I mean, I don't know if anyone else has any questions, but I mean, this stirred up a question for me that I want to sort of throw out to the room because I would love to get some input from you all, because I think what this example sort of opens up for us is the realization that there's change that can happen in a moment, right? And then there's a kind of longer view. And I think it's very easy to think of ways in which we can kind of institute change in a moment, even if it's, having a conversation with somebody about a particular issue at a particular time. But I think the larger, more difficult, more important question for us as a community, within the bounds of our own campus, but then perhaps even more broadly, if we want to go there today, is how do we take that longer view, and how do we do things that are actually going to create lasting change? Because I mean, I don't know, one way of thinking about this is that, it's trying to create a cultural change, right? And these things take time, but maybe we want to think about some strategies that we might be able to sort of engage in together as a community here on this campus and just start here, right? So I don't know, any thoughts? I would love to hear from you. Yeah.
Comment. So I actually don't go to UMass Boston. I work with Dr. And I work also with Savita at 89 South Street, and I work with a nonprofit, and we're doing work right now with teens with building solidarity among immigrant teens. And a lot of the work that we do centers around, things like xenophobia, Islamophobia, all these things about people, or rather the society othering people. And so a lot of our work really focuses on how can we combat these systems, how can we go into places where people are being taught these things like schools, and really understand kind of how to build cultural sensitivity. And so that's kind of like what we're in the work of doing. So I really like the example you brought up about how you brought in someone who's very qualified to come talk about sensitization and bringing this stuff to the forefront in the mind. So that's kind of like listening to what we're doing right now.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I resonate with that.
I wanted to actually connect between your two talks. Maria, you started off asking us about these historical events like Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, Thanksgiving, and what purpose they served originally. And it was sort of to unite our country at times of, great division. And I would argue that now we're very far away, time-wise from those areas. But right now, it still serves to unite us, but in a slightly different way, or unite sort of in a superficial way, very commercialized. So my kids pay attention to already you see the Thanksgiving, you see the turkeys. As soon as all of these things in terms of the stores and that commercialization, and that seeps into the schools. So the schools, the activities, you see the turkeys, you see that, all of these things on the bulletin boards, and very sort of unreflective, just sort of like it's normal, it's the tradition, this is what we do, this is spirit or morale or get through the cold or, you know, gets us excited. And I wonder if we could spend some time saying, what is our identity? I really appreciate, I don't remember who said it now, or you did, about, you know, is our nation coming together, but at whose cost? Is our identity to come together and to feel good at the cost of other people? How could we rewrite an identity that is much more inclusive?
Thank you, Mona. Absolutely. Yeah.
Actually, wanted to offer that because I remember in your lectures you talked about how we want to change the narrative, and